Hello and welcome to another video in our YouTube channel. In this time, we want to talk about how to get data between distinct SQL instance in Azure. Because, like Microsoft said here in this documentation, if you want to get data from different instances, you need to make these cross database queries. In a normal SQL Server local, you just have to make a connection between the SQL, but here you need to make this all the time. So they describe the process here. So the first things that you have to is the database, of course, and the next one is the master key. A master key is a password that you create for store the connection. So I'm gonna show you how we did in XAF. We create a class called global info, and people uh, put the information here: credential, identity, and secret. And with this information, we create the master key. The master key now is hard coded, so this password is in the code, but you can ask for the password for the master key here too if you want. And if this master key is already created, it's not gonna do anything else. So the next step in this is that you need to create a data source, external data source. So every time here, if you see, every time we create a new, sorry, sorry, back to here. Let me go back to here, back to here. Okay. The next is scope credential. Sorry, scope credential. The scope credential, if you see here in SAF, we create this scope credential based on the information that is in the properties here. So the master key is the first step. The second one is the scope credential, and the scope credential is created based on this information. If you see this information is just one, that's why we, in the appearance, we don't get the people create new, delete, or save anything of that. We just want to have one. It's a singleton. It's a singleton data. Okay, so this is the first step: create the master key and the scope credential. Then, every time we want a data to create a database, so if you go back here, each database is an external data source. So if we have two database, 3, 4, we need a data source for each of one of them. So the data source is created in this way: create data source, and we need in the information for the data source the credential that we create before. So in SAF, we create a new class here. In this class, we put the information about the database name, location, and the data source name, if you see, is a is a calculated property. So we create data source with this name and the name with the database. And when you save this information in the saving, we go and execute this command. If this data source does not exist, if no exists, we create the data source with the information, location, database name, and from the global, you remember from this global, we have here the credential. So anytime you add a database in this project, you're gonna have a data source with the name of the database and this in front of this prefix in front of the database name. And the last thing that we want to show you here in this SAF project. So when you have this, you can connect to the external data source using different approach. One of them is external tables. The other one is a secure remote. We go to for a secure remote because a secure remote is faster, is more flexible, and if you see the price for Azure, this one is very less expensive. Okay, so let's go to a secure remote. A secure remote, you have to secure the information from the data source that you want, and then you get the information in this side. So you can have all here. You can execute a store procedure, a query, anything you want, and then you get back the information from this external data source. How we did this in SAF? We create a controller that we call merge data, and with this merge data, what we did, we basically take all the data source that we define and create this query. For each data source, we can create this query, the database name, the data source, and a select of the information that we have in the screen. And then with this information, we create this loop. If you see, we loop into the database. So with this loop into the database, we get this information here, and then we can execute this information total. Okay, so we have this information, then we union all this information, and when we execute, we get the information from all the database at the same time. What you need to have here, you need to have the same SQL and the same data for all the tables that you're gonna union, and you can answer a question like list all the products that I have in all database in Azure. So you make only one select and execute this select and union from all database, and the result, we are making this result in a test file, but you can create an email for send from the people. You can create here, another Excel file to put in a disk. You can do anything. So the idea about this merge is to execute a code that you can run in all your database and join this information from all tables, and when you have this information joining, you can export to any other place, a test file, CSV, send by email, anything. So that's the idea. We follow the rules from Microsoft, go step by step, doing everything that they say we need to do to get information from cross database. So here in SAF, we reproduce the same idea, creating first the global information, the master key, the database credential, next creating the data source for each database, and at the end, we create a controller to merge all the information from distinct database. That's all for today, and see you in the next video.